Part 2 of the challenges of Islam. We're now going to talk about the Qur'an, the Sunnah, and the political challenges of Islam. Having introduced the alleged author of the Qur'an, let us consider the book itself. It is composed of 114 chapters known as surahs. They are not chronologically organized. The Arabic language is intrinsically part of the revelation. Therefore, all its translations are regarded as commentaries and not text. Strange as it may sound, the Quran has no coherent message, lacks clarity, and is historically inaccurate and internally inconsistent. Apologetically speaking, the Quran has serious fear of biblical teachings, and so it distorts them through illusions and by falsification of the biblical truths. Its revelation through inspiration and its methodology are shrouded in secrecy. The original version of the Quran, having been preserved in the eternal tablet, was brought down to the atmospheric realm of our earth. Muslims believe that the whole of the Quran is an inspired word with no human influence whatsoever. It has never been subjected to the acid test that the Bible has been. Looking at the Sunnah. Sunnah is an Arabic word that means to form, to shape, to mold, to set a path, a track. In this case, it means the example of the Prophet Muhammad, with the intent of establishing a new community and unifying it away from its tribal and ethnic backgrounds. Muhammad claimed to be the perfect man and the ultimate example. The implication of the Sunnah is that all Muslims are to model their lives on Muhammad's life. Thus, the Quran is like a framework, but at least 80% of a Muslim's life is shaped by the Sunnah. Islamic law declares that insulting the Prophet Muhammad is equivalent to insulting Allah. Allah and Muhammad are paired throughout the Quran. If one believes in Allah without a belief in Muhammad and his status as the final prophet, he or she is regarded as an infidel and an enemy of Islam. Though denied outwardly, this belief is firmly established and central to the very survival of Islam. Furthermore, according to the most respected scholars of Islam, Muhammad's spirit was created before Allah created Adam, and the Islamic creed is inscribed on the throne of Allah. As taught in the Quran, Muhammad was a lawgiver. Hence, regarding any issue in Islam, the only definitive answer in any given category is what the jurisprudence states, based on these twofold foundations, the Quran and the Sunnah, and disseminated by the mosque. Looking at the political challenges of Islam, we can see that the political challenge is traced to its original roots in the evolution of early Islam under the direction and administration of Muhammad. The full implementation of his political program by his followers for the past 1400 years reveals hardly any change in the doctrines of political Islam as coded in the Quran and the Sunnah. Two important doctrines by Muhammad need to be considered in this regard. First, the doctrine of universality of Muhammad's message and mission. Surah 7:158. Say, O mankind, I am an apostle of Allah unto all of you. Means that since all people need to be brought back to Islam, then Muslims are obligated to implement this goal by every means necessary. The resulting political implication divides the world into two territories, the land of Islam and the land of war. The land of Islam is to be fully governed by the Islamic State armed with the Sharia law, and the land of war is to be subdued by every means necessary. Second is the doctrine of jihad, which evolved to apply to both the land of Islam and the land of war. In the land of Islam, the state is still vulnerable to attacks by Islam's enemies and other religious and political groups. Hence, the means of population control and subjugation of opposition needed to be put in place. In the land of wars, wars were fought by Muhammad and his followers. The so-called enemies of Allah were fought against and subdued. Some of the pagans were spared on recitation of the creed and upon acceptance of the political and religious hegemony of Islam, or killed if they failed to do so. Only the Jews and Christians were given the choice to convert or to live a life of servitude and humiliation under strict Islamic regulations with their religious freedom stifled. I am sad to say that not only were millions and millions of people killed in those early Islamic conquests, but jihad, in real terms, has virtually never stopped. Today, persecution is rife, and non-Muslims have at best a token freedom for religious survival, with severe penalties if they ever attempt to preach overtly or attempt to convert Muslims. The crime of conversion. To discard Islam for another faith or for no faith is a serious crime no less severe than treason. In some Muslim countries, the punishment for embracing Christianity is death by public execution, while in other countries it could mean a life of isolation and ostracism, hardship on all fronts, and continuous harassment from the family to the state.